cause we can't stop. Hear the sound of my money machine, see my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors will find a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate will have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinner, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you book. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Lewis and Lamore. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.
Welcome to another episode of The Agent Investor with Lewis and Lamore. I am Michael Lamore. That's Luis Fernandez. Louis, how are we doing today, man?
Good, can't complain, brother.
Good to hear. I'm very excited about today's show.
Me too.
Good, awesome. Because here we have Manny Ochoa, who is Ochoa.
Yeah.
Ochoa. I gotta work on my pronunciations.
Yes, absolutely.
But Manny's a really good young man who's really grown since I've met him. I say over the last 6 months now, 7 months.
It's been like,
Yeah. So and Manny is a future and in process of being an investor and an entrepreneur at a very young age. Manny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Pleasure being here.
Thanks. Awesome. We're very happy to have you here. And so let's just start off like how old are you?
I'm 20. I turned 20 in December. So yeah.
Yeah. So when you met Lewis, you were 19.
Yeah.
Right. So it was last year.
It was like in July, right?
Yeah.
July.
So before you had met Lewis, Lewis wasn't even in the picture. Never met him. Did you have any type of idea? I can imagine at 19 there wasn't too many things you were ready to say. Hey, I want to be this. I want to be that.
Yeah.
As kids, we all say, hey, I want to be a police officer. I want to be this. I want to be that. But at 19. Did you have any idea what you wanted to do in your life?
Well, I knew I always liked investing. I always liked, whatever, if it was like the stock market or, real estate. Like it was always in the back of my head that I wanted to touch in those, in that category, stock market or investing and real estate. But at that time, I'm still into fitness. I like working out, and I had got certified as a trainer back in 2018. And I thought that was going to be more like my path. I thought, I'm probably going to start training people, build clientele, maybe have a gym, but, still invest in whatever it was.
So you had a passion both in physical fitness and in the world of investing, which could have been stocks or potentially real estate.
Correct, yeah.
So how did you and Lewis actually meet?
So before I started, working with Lewis, I was in LA Fitness and I was in sales, selling personal training packages. And I did that for a year, and after some time I realized that I was like, this is not really like what I want. Because I was there from like 9 to 9, and I had a 3-hour break in the middle, but I was working out, so I was there all day. And even one day I put in my 2 weeks, and I had actually stayed over my 2 weeks because I was still unsure. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm leaving. And I left early that day, and I was like, I got to do something else. And, that summer, COVID and all that happened, I started I started texting everybody.
So it's fair to say early on, you kind of felt that you were in a situation where, a lot of adults, including myself in my past, and I don't think Lewis did, but in this job atmosphere where you saw very, very quickly that there was a ceiling.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it was, because it's like you work harder, but it doesn't really give you any more satisfaction. It's like I work hard or not work hard, it's still the same. So, I started getting into, Bigger Pockets, which is a big real estate platform, and I started texting.
Is that a book?
Everybody. No, it's a platform where people kind of network and they have books and they teach people. There's a lot of podcasts as well.
Oh, okay. And
I started getting into that, buying books, reading, and I started texting or DMing everybody. A lot of people, I got a lot of rejection, kind of just asking how it was, how they started, what they recommend. I started doing that a lot. Yeah. And it goes hand in hand with Lewis talks about activities, and I was doing that, and I got to a point where I met this other agent, which he kind of said that he was going to show me some stuff, and I was like, cool. Told me that to go to meetups. At that time it was COVID, so it was online. And I remember I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and I was watching the podcast that Lewis was in. And I was semi listening to it because I was on the phone, but I heard enough, and I was like, I'm gonna text this guy after.
So you're, doing some activities, and then you're hearing Lewis on another podcast. How dare you be on another podcast, by the way? Very hurtful.
It was before you.
Oh, it was before? You're not shopping me, are you? I want to make sure.
Yeah.
I get very jealous, I get very attached. I get very
You're
jealous.
very emotional, Mike.
I get very emotional. I get very attached and jealous. It's okay if you want to see other people, but
Yeah,
I would
that's
like
okay.
to know about it
Yeah.
beforehand.
You gotta try everything.
Yeah. So you hear Lewis, and you actually start hearing things that like make a lot of sense to you.
Yeah.
And so you reach out to me, text him, or a message.
No, on Facebook, because he said, like, here's my Facebook, all that stuff, to reach out to him. And I had reached out to him, asking him a couple questions about real estate. And I don't know, I mean, Lewis could give you his point of view. I feel like, I was asking, a lot of questions to text. And I know, like, at one point, Lewis was like, because I told him I was in New Rochelle, he was like, just come to my restaurant I have here. And then I went to his restaurant. We had a, good conversation. And then from there, then it just, he told me. He was
Well, Lewis is like the investor at Match.com. This guy,
Yeah.
he gets everybody, he gets everybody to reach out to, which is good because, you know what? At the end of the day, Lewis brings in a lot of value because he has a lot of experience, both as a former realtor and as a real estate investor. So, you know what? Kudos to Lewis for doing what he does, which comes natural because he knows his stuff and he caught the ear of Manny. And and Lewis, I'm going to kick it over to you. And this is something we talk about all the time. A leader or true leader is always seeking talent, correct?
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, I'll tell you, as a leader, we all have a leadership position in our organization, but talent is the name of the game, right? So when you become a leader and you're running an organization and people are depending on you, your job is not to lead generate anymore. It's kind of to lead generate for new talent, right? And I'll tell you, when I first spoke to Manny, obviously he had those dreams of becoming a millionaire in 1 year. And,
I'm still having those dreams.
You know what I mean?
I still have those dreams.
And the interesting part was that I realized, quickly that Manny was a guy that would listen, right? And I said, Manny, go read this book, go do this. And he's like, Lewis, I did it. And then you start realizing who's dedicated and who understands that there is a process to becoming a leader. And I said, Manny, do you have money? He's like, I want to invest in property. He's like, do you have money? No. Yeah. So how could you become an investor, right?
But is it fair to say that in your experience, because you're out there, you're on social media, people know you from being a high-level agent and now over the last 5 years flipping homes, is it fair to say that you get a lot of inquiries, and let's just say if 20 people reach out to you, not everybody listens to what you have to say?
Well, it's funny because most people don't listen in general. Even older people don't listen, right? But I remember that after that episode we did, about 45 people reached out to me, and Manny's the only guy that I entertained to bring him in the new venture, right? At that point, we were just about to start, the lead generation process again, all over again, as an investor. And actually, Manny came at the right time. He was actually at the right time at the right place. He was listening, and Manny is a mature kid for his age. I mean, if you talk to Manny, he doesn't sound like he's 20. He sounds like he's probably 30. Right?
Yeah, he's definitely come a long way since we've met him. Again, 7 months now, and collectively we're both very proud of him. Not to make you feel weird or anything, but it's really cool to start where we started and to see you grow so much. That's how you landed to see right here, by the way.
Yeah.
You're like famous now, man. It's good to see you. So,
It's an honor.
so Lewis, it's fair to say that in the beginning, what you got from Manny was that he was receptive, he was coachable, and he was implementing activities in order for growth.
Yeah, the most important thing I think that you identify in people is, most people have opinions, right?
We all have
but opinions don't matter unless you've had a successful track record.
Maybe only to the person who spent them out.
Right. Well, so everybody has their opinions, but Manny, early on, after we spoke, probably for 45 minutes outside my restaurant, he understood that, like, his opinion really meant less than what reality is, and that's a sign that somebody wants to grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what could you say, meeting Manny 7-8 months ago, seeing what you saw then, what do you see now?
He's blossomed completely, right? He's, he always had it in him. It's just a matter of when he was going to get it out and how he was going to do it, right? So whatever Manny's accomplished on his own, right? Because he's probably the most disciplined person I've met in a long time.
I agree with that.
Right? A long time. And he's doing his activities, right? And he's really passionate about doing it, and he's not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Manny. He's not working for the money. He's working for the process, right? And very few people kind of like run business that way. Obviously, he's 20, so he's in a different state financially, right, than perhaps you or I, right?
Yeah, but for the people checking this out, right? That,
young people.
For the young people, there is a path for somebody at any age to start whatever it is that you want to start, whether it's real estate or something else.
I always remember what I said to Manny. If you do what I tell you you have to do, you'll have more money than me by the time you're 25.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that. But for people at home that are watching this, whether they're younger or older, because it's never too old, you're never too old either. When we talk about activities, what are we talking about? Right? Because one of the first things that people that want to start either getting into the world of sales or investing, the first thing you say, okay, they see all these infomercials, they see this, they see that, and then they don't know what to do. So what kind of activities?
Well, if you're watching infomercials, you're focusing on the wrong thing, right? Right, for sure. I mean, you should be sleeping to begin with that time, right? Right, but just doing the activities on a daily basis so that you can become better, right?
Like making
contacts, calling, dialing, regardless of the outcome, right?
Yeah.
So the other day, Manny, myself, and another gentleman, and Jeff, and another guy, Raul, we had a little competition, and we said we're going to call all day long. And we had breakfast at 8 in the morning. We called, we had lunch in the office. And when we had to go to the bathroom, we took our computers with us.
Oh, you guys.
We dialed.
Oh, my God.
And we did about 9.5 hours of dialing straight.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about in a day of 9 hours?
That day, I personally did 2017 calls.
You made 2,000 calls
Right.
in one day.
Yeah. Given at the end, we were just doing the activities, not focusing on the results, because at that time, after 9 hours.
I would say most people don't call 2,000 people in a month.
No, agreed, right? But what we're trying to do is something bigger and better, right? Yep. And, Raul that just joined us that same day, he did 1,000 calls on their second day calling, right?
Yeah.
No real estate experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's fair to say that both of us in the time we've known Manny has really blossomed and have come a long way. And so, no pressure, but there's a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. We have high expectations of you now. So now you gotta break through the next level.
It's okay. That's how diamonds are made. So.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's how diamonds are made.
Diamonds, right?
Louis, looking at Manny, where he's come so far, well, how high expectations do you have for him?
Well, I don't really have expectations for him. I think he has his own expectations, and we're just a conduit to make people successful to the success level that they want to become, right? Because, man, he could do it for 3 years and achieve something and then want to do something else. We create paths for people that perhaps don't have it clear, and I'm sure Manny's going to be a beast by the time he's like 28, 30, right? Yeah. And he understands that, and when Manny was doing his activities at one time, I said, maybe Manny, when I retire, I'll come work for you, right?
Yeah. Right. But if you remember back to the first episode we did, we introduced ourselves to everybody and said, okay, we're really here to bring value,
absolutely,
right, and create a path for other people.
Absolutely.
Even though our path ain't complete, but that doesn't mean we can't start helping with somebody else and paying it forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we've been doing. And so Manny, what's been your experience from? I mean, you heard it from our seats.
Yeah.
What we're seeing. Well, what has it been like for you?
Well, since we started the whole trainings and doing the activities, it's been a lot, but it's been a lot of quality stuff.
Yeah.
From Louis and from you as well, and just pushing your limits, right? I mean, I would have never thought I was gonna, I did the max, and in a 9 hour period was almost 2,000 as well.
Yeah,
so,
2,000 dials.
Yeah, so imagine, if you would have asked me a year ago if I would have done it, $2,000, I would have not believed it, because even when I was in LA Fitness, we would call members, and I did, I kind of hated calling the members, and like that wasn't really a cold call because they signed up. So if you would ask me back then, it would have been like, I don't know. So that growth, just being pushed to my limit. Having somebody like Louis who's been there, done that.
Yep.
Kind of, not closing his mind to me and just being able to share everything has been huge. Where, which I told Louis, like, I'm willing to pass it on to the next person.
It's all about that. It's all about paying it forward.
Yeah. And, even passing it on to his son, which is a deal that we made, like being able to whatever I have, whatever I learn.
Which I'm happy he's not here, by the way. He's a good-looking kid. We'd be 3 ugly people right now if your son was sitting here right now. So I'm really glad he's not here.
Yeah, but just sharing the room with people who have the same mindset, right? People go there, and it's not the same calling alone as calling with 5, 6 other people, and it's just a different experience. That synergy is kind of motivates you to when you're on your own. It's different being on your own calling when you experience synergy because it kind of motivates you than if you never experience it.
Yeah, the cool thing is too is like throughout this, people know that Louis and I have been friends for about 10 years now, and and Louis too. He'll say this like this: you're never too experienced or too old to learn, and hopefully he's learned something from our group as well. But I've learned a tremendous amount with reading the books and the mindset, and when you're sitting here and you're help people pay it forward, and helping people like yourself, it's also a lesson to yourself too.
Yeah. Well, they do say that you don't really know things unless you can teach it, right?
Yeah.
So being able to share the same knowledge with whoever comes next, and just being able to sit down with them and explain, the same things that were explained to me, then even if that person turns on leaving and not being with us, that's still practice because I was able to, kind of teach it to them, and just that repetitiveness is what.
Yeah, come to think of it, Louis has been one of the very, very, very few people who's got me to keep my mouth shut at sometimes. Which is that's a very hard task. So I give Louis a very big kudos for that because I can't shut up sometimes. So Louis did that. But good for you. We're all both very, very happy that you come this far, and without putting any pressure, there is expectations there, and that's good. It's good to have self-expectations, and it's good to have people like us to have expectations upon you because it gives you that accountability along with the synergy.
I have a question for you, Manny, and I think you know the answer. For the people that are watching, people perhaps they're new, and people that are in your shoes, young kids that don't really know or have a path, how long did it take you to really internalize a script? Because I'm big on scripts and dialogue. How long did it take you to internalize the script and really get rid of the fear on the phone? Because we talk about that all the time, right?
Yeah, and that's one of that's a big thing. That fear of having that itch when you're calling, like, oh, what are they gonna say? You kind of overthink everything. I'll say it probably took, I don't know, I'll say 2-3 weeks of just calling every day for at least 3-4 hours if you do it for 2 weeks and you do thousands of calls. By the time that finishes, you're gonna be at least doing 5,000 calls.
So when did you really feel 100% comfortable and when did you pick up the phone and the dialer and you didn't feel like you were just doing an activity? It was just on autopilot. How long did it take you? Because I think it's important for most people. Most people think that they need to pick up the phone and they're going to land their first appointment right away, right? So how long did it take you to find your first deal?
So to get over that fear where I don't really care where I'm at, I'm calling, I'll probably say it took me maybe around 6 to 8 weeks. To completely, to the point where now, if I'm watching a movie, I could just have an earpiece, or I could be, with my girlfriend and just be on the phone where somebody picks up. I just look at the name, the address, and I know what conversation where to take it without having to overthink, because it's just second nature.
Which is very impressive because honestly, I don't call as much as you guys do, and I've done more, I would say, in the last 6 months than I've done in a very, very long time, and I still sometimes have that pit in my stomach.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But there's days I don't mind it, I'm just whatever, but it's...
Well, there was one day that we were calling 2,000 people, and around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, all of a sudden, Jeff, myself, start looking. We look to the side, and Manny's sleeping. He's calling and sleeping. He was like...
I took a 30-second
nap.
nap.
30-second nap, and we were going to put something in his mouth. He woke up, right? But it's that's how comfortable you get calling that it's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, because after hours of calling, it's mentally exhausting at some point, especially when you're not even taking a break to go to the bathroom, where you're very comfortable in your seat, and you're just laying back, and nobody picks up in a minute, and you're just very comfortable that you just pass out.
Then somebody pops on, oh.
Yeah, and it's oh, hello. And it's so it's, and then back to the question you asked about how long it would take to get a deal, I think we probably came to the conclusion that it probably takes, maybe 10,000 calls to get somebody that it's hey, maybe, at least a good, decent deal. It's not something that you're gonna pick up the phone, first 10 calls and get 3 leads. You could be lucky and make your first call and get a lead, but then it might take another 10,000.
Louis, how has the ratio changed from say 6 years ago to now?
Oh, it's really tough.
Tougher now, right?
It's really tough. I'll tell you.
Because back when you were going at a high level, how many dials do you have to make to get land an appointment?
Probably 100 to 150 to 1. Now we're probably looking at 5,000 to 1, and because the market's so good, right? So for sale by owner could sell their own property. Somebody that was distressed might have equity now, right? But it's, we're preparing ourselves for when the market turns, right? When the market turns, it's not going to be 5,000 calls anymore. It's probably going to be like 500 calls. Yeah. And we're probably going to be the only ones doing the activities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So another big part of the whole big picture here, for the people watching, checking this out and want to get into real estate investing or, on the real estate side like I do, is the big thing is discipline. Yeah. Manny has also been very receptive, but you can't be receptive and coachable if you're not disciplined. He's a guy who shows up on time, does his activities, does what he's got to do, and not to mention he follows up like a beast too. Because if I'm on top of my game, he's on top of me, which makes me on top of my game. So it's kind of like a trickle down effect. Yeah. And so, with that being said, what do you do when you're, not making a million calls a day? What are you doing for fun?
Well, for fun, I like playing, soccer. When the weather's good, I tend to play soccer. I like working out.
And he likes to play chess.
Yeah, I play chess.
Oh. Yeah. Because,
he beat me once.
You're all 20 years old, and from what I understand, you don't drink either, right? Which you're not supposed to anyway, because you're only 20, right? Yeah, okay. And so, and the fact, so you mentioned something about a girlfriend, but you haven't been married a few times yet, have you?
No.
All right, so you're only 20 years old. Yeah. You haven't been married a full time yet. So you're staying on track.
Yes.
Staying disciplined. So that's a big thing, right? Yeah. I mean, discipline has been one of the biggest things we spoke about.
Well, discipline is what really makes Manny Manny, right? So, without discipline, you can't really break through ceilings. You can't really do what you have to do, right? And we talk about that, and in the office, it's four of us for the investment side, and don't I talk to you guys about discipline all the time, right? We can't take our eye off it. We got to be disciplined, and I think that's the synergy that you might bring as an experienced agent or investor, right?
One of the best points I would say that you really do drive home and you're very serious about, and I respect that a lot too, because if you think about it, everybody's, like you said, in your words, everybody's always looking for that silver object, right? How do I get to here? How do I do 10, 20 million dollars in sales? And it really starts with something very, very small. If you can't even show up on time to make calls or to your real estate office at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be reaching to on top, right? Yeah. So yeah, listen, great call. Thanks for coming on, but we have a few minutes left, and we have a little segment called 5 and Out. So I got 5 questions, 5 and Out. Got 5 questions for you. You're not going to have to put a seatbelt on, nothing that crazy. Okay. But 5 easy layup questions for you. Ready?
Okay.
What's your favorite food?
I love seafood, so I'll go with fried fish.
Fried fish? Oh, that's the first fried fish so far. Yeah. Very, very interesting. Favorite movie?
I'll say John Wick.
Really?
Movies.
So you're a violent man, aren't you?
Nah, I just think he's cool.
it was a pretty cool movie. Now here's a weird question. What's the weirdest scar you have, and how'd you get it?
The weirdest scar?
Other than getting taught by Luis.
You said biggest scar?
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I used to live in Mexico. I actually have a scar under here. We have a two-floor house, and I forgot how old I was, but I was very young, and I was in the second floor. And I remember looking down at the stairs, and don't judge, but I don't know why I decided to just jump.
Oh.
And I jumped.
Oh.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
I jumped.
Yeah.
And,
that's why it's 10,000 calls, 10,000 dials.
And on the steps, I hit myself in the chin, and then I have a weird scar there.
If you were so lucky to hit the lotto this week, what's your first move?
So I'm blocking Michael. No, I'm joking.
Damn, I'm out. Jesus.
The first move, I don't know. I'll probably just still come to the meetings, and I'll probably just try to buy my parents a house. Probably that's the first thing.
First thing?
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then after that, I'll just try to make a smart decision. Maybe I'll be partners with Luis now as buyers and stuff.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. All right, last question. You're a superhero. You're gonna get 3 choices. You can fly, you could be invisible, or you can hear conversations from miles away. Which one do you choose?
I think being invisible, because if I'm invincible, I could kind of be everywhere without anybody noticing.
And then nobody can see you also jumping down the stairs.
Exactly. So, and no one can judge me. But I think being invincible, like you kind of have an edge over everybody because you could, be with the competitors or whatever, and nobody will know you're there.
Yeah.
You'll be able to just be ahead of everybody because no one knows. It's like you're in and you're out, and no one knows.
Well, listen, man, thanks so much for coming on today. Really, it's a pleasure not only being on here, but also doing business with you.
Appreciate it.
And thanks for checking out this episode of The Agent Investor with Louis and Lamort. Michael Lamort, Louis Fernandez.
And we won't stop, cause we can't stop. Hear the sound of my money machine. See my brand new Benz, watch the chrome rims gleam. The agent investors have found a home of your dreams. Investing in real estate will have you rolling in green. With the power and the knowledge at our fingertips, we are here to share and help get you rich. Eating fancy dinner, driving expensive whips, working out your brain like chest pressing dips. Stop leaning on the books and the courses you book. The conversations we have cannot be taught. Tune into the podcast with Louis and Lamort. Our knowledge combined won't sell you short. And I'm out.